Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Career Evangelist Podcast. On today's episode, we are joined by the number one leadership speaker on culture, best-selling author, and former CEO who built multiple best places to work companies, Chris Dyer. So, if you want to progress in your career, if you want to master tough conversation and win in remote work, this episode is for you. And with that, I'll bring in our guest. Hello, Chris. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Great to have you join us. So, whereabouts are you joining us from today, Chris?
I'm in Orange County, California.
California. So I'm here in Texas. I'm in Houston, Texas. So it's good to connect with you, Chris.
Awesome. And I'm assuming you're recording. I didn't hear anything go off, but I'm gonna make sure.
No, no, no,
I've
you're
gone through podcasts before where they're like, wait a minute, I never hit record.
right. So I already clicked the record button.
All
So
right, good, awesome.
we are on record right now, Chris.
Good, good.
All right. So now you talk a lot about remote work. I want to hear from you. Are there some uh, mindset shift that people need to know maybe whether they are transitioning from remote to hybrid to full-time in-person work scenario? Can you walk us through that, Chris?
Well, whether you're remote or you're hybrid, you have to manage that situation, whether you are an individual contributor or maybe you're the leader of the team. You have to manage that completely different than you do if you're all only in person all the time. Information moves differently. How we manage people, our expectations, what we think about success, and what are we wanting people to do, and how will we judge them on whether or not they're being successful. That sort of shifts when we're not physically in front of people all day long. We're not observing them. And so that's a big shift right there. That you have to be really clear about what does success look like? What do I expect from you? What are your goals? And how am I going to know? And how will we all know if you're doing a good job or not? And companies are pretty bad at doing that, even when they're in person. And so it's even worse of a problem than when suddenly you're hybrid or remote. The second problem that thing I think that people have to really address is when you are working in a traditional office, your brain goes into work mode as you step into the office, right?
Correct.
And as you leave the office, for most people, your brain goes into I'm no longer working. Now we've got our phones, and there are some things that might pull us back in from time to time, but there's that natural break. Whether you get in a car or you get in a bus or on a train, it's time to not be working.
All right.
And if you do work, you're guilty. You know you're not supposed to be, but like there's that clear on and off.
All
When
right.
we're at home or we're on the road working somewhere else, we lose that on and off switch. And so sometimes we can get started late and we can allow our world to impact us and not allow us to be productive in the mornings.
Mhm.
And we also can not turn off our computers and just keep working for hours and hours and hours, well past when we were contracted to be working and to be there. And so people need to be much more disciplined about you start your work at 9, that you are sitting in your chair at 9, right? That you don't let anything else get in your way just because you're at home or traveling or whatever. And also, when you're done, that you close your laptop, you close your office door, and you try to use that as your off switch like you did when you left the office. And so those are the two biggest things I see. Clearer boundaries, clear expectations, and clear on and off switch so that we don't burn ourselves out.
So obviously, you are talking about how to maintain those boundaries between your work life and your personal life. And I think that is good. Sometimes it may be challenging to know where the line stops. So thank you for sharing that, Chris. Now, you also talk a lot about culture, uh, organization culture. what does culture mean? How can we know the culture of a specific organization?
Well, culture is just the norms. How is it we get things done? What's normal here for our organization? Is this a highly hierarchical, you got to get nine different people to give you permission to do something? Or is this a wheeling and dealing startup where like you're just the rules are changing every 5 minutes? I mean, we've all been in different situations. We've all
Mm,
been like you ever like get in an elevator and you get out and you're on the fourth floor of the company and people are like having a good time and they're high-fiving and they're collaborating. And then you're like, oh, I need to go to the fifth floor and go see the other team. Same
mm,
company, different floor, and that door opens up and it's like it's quiet and nobody wants you to see what's on their computer and they're all looking over their shoulder and they're like, who's this person? And there's like fear and there's anxiety in the air. Like same company,
mm,
right? And yet, what's the difference there, right? It's the leadership, and it's like how the norms on one floor are different than the norms on the other floor, even though it's the same company. So it's really like how do you get things done? How do you meet and collaborate? What are the rules? What are the expectations? I mean, that's culture,
mhm.
and that starts with leadership. Intentional culture starts with leadership. Unintentional culture, well, that's just built by everyone, whoever's the loudest and um, the bully, I guess, in the company is the one who sets that if you're not intentional.
So I like the example you gave about same company having two different culture, and I think I've seen that as well. Now the question is, how can an employee influence the culture without having that leadership title? Is there anything they can do, or they should just sit and follow what the leader says?
So our view of culture is actually a reflection of our view of our team. Because if you're on a really great team and the culture is really great on that team, you're probably going to have a pretty good opinion about the company's culture. You might know that there's one team over there that their boss sucks and then they're struggling, but like overall, you're going to say your company is a pretty good company if your team is a pretty good team.
Correct.
You're also going to say that the CEO is doing a pretty good job if your boss is doing a pretty good job. So it's weird how your boss is correlated to the CEO and your team is correlated to the company. And we see this in survey data. Almost every time that they are mirrors of each other. So to answer your question, if you just make sure that you are doing everything you can to make your team as good of a team as it can be. If you're just an individual contributor, how can I show up and be a positive impact, a positive part? How do I make my team? How do I ask good questions and talk about things and bring up issues that will help us be better and stronger to make that team better? And if your boss isn't any good, then can you be on a different team or do you need to go to a different company? I mean, if you have a terrible boss, then it's pretty hard to have a good culture and to think your company's doing well. Um, for me, that was always like a line in the sand. If my boss was terrible, here's my 2 weeks notice. I mean, I'll go find another job. Like I do not need to put up with that. But if my team was struggling, like I always felt like I could be a positive influence and I could maybe make them be better over time.
Yeah, that's so good. Now, let's go back a little bit, back to remote environments. You told us how to make sure that we are showing up, even when people are working remotely, and how to establish those boundaries. But now the next thing is, how can an employee who works remotely, how can they stand out? Because at the end of the day, if they still want to grow and make advancement in their career, they need to know how to stand out so that their leaders will see them and they'll be able to earn that promotion.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about creating that visibility, that environment, and we all have um our part in that. We all have our 50% that we own, the things that we can do and can control to make things better for ourselves, for our team, for our boss, for the people we are in charge of, whatever that is. We can't make people do other things, but we can do our part. I think it's kind of empowering when you realize like, hey, if I just do my part really, really well, like things get better.
Mhm.
And that's what we need to focus on.
Okay. Now, I know you have a seven pillar strategy with culture. Can you tell us more about your seven pillar strategy?
Sure. So this is really around how do you have a great culture? And we've studied this quite extensively, worked with hundreds of organizations on this, had universities study this, and again and again and again, this has been proven to be true. If you want a great culture, you have to be really good at seven things.
Hmm.
If you're good at these seven things, it's impossible for you not to be a good place to work. Now, I can't promise you anybody wants to buy your product or service. I can't promise you that you're selling anything any good, but like at least people are going to work their butts off for you, and you're going to keep people, and you're going to have that part I can solve. Um, and so those seven things are transparency, positivity, uniqueness, measurement, listening, recognition, and how you deal with mistakes.
Okay.
And if you heard me say one of those and you were like, and you kind of winced when I said one or two of those, you probably all were like, ooh, we're not good at that one. Like, oh, that one and that one. Oh, yeah, we're there. But like, you probably heard one or two that made you go, "Yeah, okay, don't look at me." That's okay, but that's where you need to go work. Like that's where you need to go and get better.
So you listed these 17s. Now, out of all those 17s, which one would you consider that impacts individual careers the most?
Well, I can tell you the one that people are always terrible at. If I had to bet money, if I walked into a company and I didn't know anything about them, I can almost guarantee that they're bad at transparency.
Yeah.
When I say transparency, I mean, are you sharing your P&L? Are you sharing your goals? Are you sharing what your other team's goals, the company's goals? Are you getting on a call every month and telling every employee, here's how much money we made, here's how we're doing, here's our pipeline, here's what's going well, here's what's not going well, here's where we're screwing up, like we're behind on this project, and like, are you really being open and honest and saying, here's everything so that people don't freak out? Because if you say, hey, we know this is a problem, but here's what we're going to do about it, employees actually relax. Like, ah, okay. I know Chris just said sales aren't going well, but he said we're going to do these three things. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. I know they got a plan, and then we'll see how it gets better next month. If you just hear through the grapevine that we're not doing very well in sales and like you don't know what the story is, you're going to be like, should I look for another job? Should I be stressed? Am I going to get laid off? Like all this anxiety if I get on and I tell you what's happening and why it's happening and what we're going to do about it. Ah, okay. And then you might go, because now you've relaxed, you go, you know what? I think I can help.
Hmm.
How can I help us with our revenue? Here's an idea I have. Did you know I've been talking to this client? Maybe we could get them to do more. Like suddenly now you're not in that fight or flight state. You're in the I can help state because I've given you all the information. You know exactly what to do.
So, Chris, what does uniqueness look like? Because when you were listing those seven pillars, uniqueness jump out to me. That's what do you mean?
Uniqueness is an interesting one because it runs the gamut from marketing to our people. So let's start on the marketing end. If you cannot think about your organization, your work, your products and services, and how that you are unique, you cannot possibly tell the marketplace who you are and what you do and why they should buy from you, or what you stand for, or what you're all about. And you'll notice that the best companies, we know who they are. We know what they stand for. We know what, like, you can just think of like some big brands, and I bet you and I pretty quickly could like kind of talk about a few words or a sentence that would really, we know what that company's all about. And every time a company suddenly starts struggling, it's because guess what? We don't know what they're about anymore. Like they've lost that identity. They've suddenly like, gotten off what made them successful. So that's one end of it. If we go to the other end of it, it's we need to have people in our organization who are unique, who have a unique way of thinking. And so you could put a DE&I lens on this if you want. That wasn't my intention. My intention was I want a diversity of thought in my company. I
Mm,
want people who think differently, which means I need people from different backgrounds, who have different experiences, who come from different places, who went to different universities or different schoolings and upbringings. I need people who think differently because it's so easy to hire a whole bunch of people who all went to the same university, the one I went to, because I'm like, well, you went to Cal State Fullerton? Okay, great. You lived
wow.
in Orange County? Oh yeah, you're an Angels fan too? Oh my gosh, I have so much in common with you. Let me hire you. But then we have no idea how to think about problems for someone who's in New York, because none of us have ever lived in New York. We all have great weather here, 365 days a year. I got great weather. I'm not thinking about anybody who gets snowed in. I'm not thinking about anybody who has a totally different, the gap between me and somebody else when I don't have anyone else who knows how to think like somebody else is now going to get in my way of ever being successful or ever being able to come up with new ideas and understand new perspectives and all of that. So I made that mistake. I hired a whole bunch of people who were all from this area. They're all in this area. And when I took my company fully remote and I could hire people all across the country and all over the world eventually, oh my gosh, did I get different thinking. And I got totally different ideas and I got radically different perspectives and I got people that could totally understand clients that I could never understand. And so that's why uniqueness is so important. If you care about also having, that lens of I want to hire different types of people that look different and think different. Maybe you would like to have more women in your organization. Then that's a struggle for you. Like that may be a goal for some companies. I'm not telling you it has to be. I'm just telling you I think it has to be a diversity of thought first. But if you want that, that is the only way to achieve it.
Hmm. No, that's very good, Chris. So now on the Career Evangelist podcast, I always want to check with my guests to see how they manage their career so that other people may find some insights from you. So let's go back. How you started your career, what you did in your first job, and how did you get to where you are today? What led you to starting your own company, to doing your own business? Can you tell us more about that, Chris?
I don't know how far you want to go back as far as the first job. Um, I used to convince people to let me wash their car for $1. I would mow people's lawns. Um, I would sell the most magazines at the magazine drive for, my school. I was very motivated to make the money, not a lot of money, but just the money that I needed to get whatever it is I wanted to get. So I wasn't a consistent entrepreneur. It was like, well, I would really enjoy some candy, so how do I go make some money? And then go to the liquor store and go buy the money that I want, buy the candy that I wanted. So it was very like motivated that way. And I think that's very entrepreneurial. And
Mhm.
what's interesting was that my first kind of jobs out of college were not entrepreneurial. I went and worked for somebody else. And those were good experiences and I learned a lot. But ultimately, I realized, in fact, I realized it when 9/11 happened. It was like, oh, dummy, what are you doing working here for somebody else? Like, this is not what I thought I'd be doing with my life. I had been playing it safe. I got a house, I got a mortgage, I got a car payment, and I was working for somebody else. And and I was learning, and that was important, but I also wasn't happy. And so when I saw that second plane hit the tower, I was just like, oh, I'm supposed to be running my own company. Like it was like a spell had been lifted, from me. Like I just, and so by November 1st, I had started my company, my first company.
Wow.
And, that was it. Like that passion that I had as a kid to do those things suddenly came back, and I was willing to take that big risk and do that. Um, with that, hey, maybe you never know when your number is going to be called. You know how much longer you have. Like I'm not going to wait around and I'm going to make this happen now.
Wow, that's so good. So, what's I know you've started multiple companies or businesses. Out of the multiple ones that you've started, Chris, which of them do you find most fulfilling?
I mean, I had my largest company, People G2, for 20 plus years. I mean, that was probably the most fulfilling one that I've run. I've really been enjoying. I have a new company right now called Engage Beast AI.ai. And that one has been really exciting because it's helping organizations manage all of their social media inboxes in one place. And so it's been fun to we have a very specific offering, not a whole menu of offerings. All my past companies has been, we have all of these things. I have one thing. We're just giving companies one solution. It's one thing. It's an inexpensive but very helpful product. So it's been really fun to kind of have to think about the marketing and the customer acquisition and all of that because I'm not solving a large set of problems. I'm solving a single problem with a single product. And I've never had to do that before. I've always been like, well, let me sell you this suite of things and and I can bring you in on lots of different ways. So I think that's been kind of fun to think about that business that way.
That's good. So, Chris, you have a book coming out, Moments That Matter. Can you tell us about your book and what's the big takeaway from that book?
Well, what's interesting is we only remember 1% of all of the really important things that happen to us. 1% of the important things. We forget almost everything. Now, we can recall a lot more than 1%. You might be with your family and you start telling a story and then you'll remember that that thing happened. But there's only like about 1% of things that happen to us or that we experience in our lives that are really impactful to who we are, or 1% for our people, what represents what their journey at a company or their careers and all of that. So this book is an attempt to help anybody figure out how do I know when I'm in a moment or maybe someone I care about is in a moment? How do I see that moment? If I see it and I know it's happening, then how do I shape it? How do I show up correctly? How do I know which moment I'm in? There's 7 different moment types, but how do I know which moment I'm in so I know what I'm supposed to do? Who do I need to be in that moment so I can be happy? Or maybe who do I need to be so I can help that employee or help that partner or spouse or help that child in the right way? And then if I did do all of that work and I showed up and I did a good job and I helped somebody or someone helped me, how do I make sure other people know about it? Not because we want to brag, not because we want people to praise us or anything like that, but because we want to send a signal to those people around us about who we really are. And so if I showed up for you in a way, let's say you and I was your boss and we were on a team, and you went through something really traumatic and really important, and I showed up as your boss for you. I made sure you had extra days off. We lowered your workload, we covered for you while you're going through this really hard thing. If you and I were the only ones that knew about that, that's fine, and I helped you. But if the rest of the team knows that I did that for you, now they know if they ever have a problem, I'm going to be there for them too.
Right.
And that creates additional psychological safety. That creates an additional barrier to that team. Just them knowing that I did that for you will make them feel like our team and our culture is great. Even
Mm,
if they never have a problem the entire time they're an employee here, their life is peachy keen. They don't have never have a problem. They're still going to feel a lot better about that team knowing how I showed up for you, you know? And
right.
so we call it scaling. So it's how do you see the moment, shape the moment, and scale the moment. And this book is all about teaching you how to do that.
To see the moment, shape the moment, and scale the moment. Okay, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that background with us. So, Chris, I like the story you shared with 9/11 and how that got you motivated to starting your home business. Now, I know there are people listening to us now, right now. Maybe some of them are on the fence. They may not necessarily love what they do today, and they've been thinking, what's the next chapter for them? I want you to help us to motivate them that if you can do it, they can do it as well.
Well, I think my advice is a little different than that.
Okay.
My advice is no one's coming to help you.
Mm.
No one is coming to save you, to motivate you, to coach you, to lift you up off that couch. No one's going to help you find a better job. No one's going to do any of that but you. And so, what you are not changing, you are choosing. Don't like your job? Go find a new one. Want to start a company? Start working on it. Like, if you're waiting for a sign from somewhere, from the universe or God, or I don't know, a coach or mentor, it's not coming.
Wow.
It's not. You can pay someone a lot of money to go to a course. You can go pay a lot of money for Tony Robbins to tell you to get up off the couch and go do it. I'm telling you right now for free. That's
Good.
all that they're going to do. Okay. You still have to do it. You still have to be the one. And unless you're going to do that, if you don't want to do it, if you want to stay on the couch and stay safe, that's okay. But that's nothing's ever going to change for you. And so
Wow.
you're choosing that outcome, and that's okay. That's if you are clear about that. But if you're complaining and saying, "Whoa, what was my life, and I wish I had a better job, and I wish I had my own company, or I wish I could finally do this thing," you can do all of that, all of it, because I promise you, the universe is constantly manipulating things in your benefit. The universe wants you to succeed, but it cannot help you if you're not helping yourself.
That's so good. Tough love. Thank you very much, Chris, for sharing that with us. And with that, we have come to the end of the show. Chris, thank you for your time today. I'm sure my listeners will find this beneficial. We enjoy having you on the Career Evangelist podcast. Please finally tell my audience where they can find you so that they can connect with you and continue this journey with you.
If you're interested in checking out the new book, you can go to chrisdyer.com/moments. There's a little form there you can fill out to be alerted when it actually becomes live on Amazon. If this is after March 24th or after, you can just go directly to Amazon and get it yourself. Happy to connect with anybody on social. And if you'd like, if you lead a team and you'd like a little resources, you can also text me at 33777 and just put Chris as the message, and it will send you back a little free PDF of some resources.
Thank you, Chris. I enjoyed this show.